before you buy a home computer.
Electronic games being heralded by folks in the trade as this year's holiday bestseller.
Children have skipped school or stolen money to play the games.
I'll be looking at the electronic game craze.
And at the end of the tape, I'll be back to tell you how to safeguard your computer. Safeguard your computer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that's never on time, but rarely late. Happy Friday the 13th. I don't know what happened to my OBS profile. You may have noticed the start of that stream looked like absolute dog poop because my bitrate got reset to 2500 kilobits per second. Also, my keyframe interval was set to 4 seconds, which OBS, or YouTube rather, really did not like. I don't have a clue. I would have never set that, so I don't know how it got reset. But that was weird. Quality should be okay now, I hope. Welcome to Streamer News. Things were working an hour ago, and now they're not. That's the story of live broadcast, isn't it? Hello, welcome, Jesus. All right, hi. We're doing a live stream today. We're talking about some streamer news, some stuff like that. I don't know what's going on. Okay. I think everything's working. So yeah, happy Friday the 13th. Welcome to Streamer News. Today is a weird show already, but we're gonna keep it going. We got some topics today, including OBS throwing out some money to make some cool stuff happen, which shows that their investments from the big tier sponsorships from some major streaming companies and the like were well worth it. We've got Twitch being in the hot seat yet again for a ton of stuff. We've got Nvidia deepfakes and stuff like that. We actually don't have a large quantity of topics today, but that's because I want to spend a little bit more time focusing on a couple of the individual ones. I'm doing all right, G-Zang. I probably said that terribly. Hope you're doing well as well. Hope everyone's having a great start to your weekend. Let's jump into a little bit of housekeeping here real quick. Let's hope my scenes work now. There we go. Since everything seems to be broken. And my chat is set back to top chat, even though I definitely set it to live chat. There we go. So, over on the YouTube channel, we posted quite a few videos since our last episode of Streamer News. We've got a list of OBS themes, if you want to customize how your OBS looks. Huge fan of those, and already since that video, some people have been commenting and messaging in the Discord that they've been working on their own themes, so I am super stoked to have inspired that in any capacity, because I definitely want to see more themes. I just realized that no one has pointed this out yet. Hold up. Is that? No. Yeah. Where's my short for installing OBS plugins? I'm confused. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, real quick, just to make things... I posted the first list video of the first list of OBS plugins, and there was supposed to be a short that accompanied that showed how to install OBS plugins, and that seems to be missing. Meanwhile, my OBS themes video has install plugins written on it, so no one has pointed that out yet. I'm going to have to go back and fix that at some point. Anyway, we got a list of OBS themes. We got the ultimate audio guide on how to make your stream audio better. I put a lot of time into that. It turned out really awesome. 20 minutes of what could be hours upon hours of content on how to improve your mic technique, how to improve your post-processing, how to improve the physics of how your microphone is set up, all of that jazz. Go check it out if you haven't already. And then we got 7 OBS settings that you should check to make sure things are working, something I clearly don't listen to myself. Cool tool for showing lower thirds, which I actually once again meant to set up for this stream and did not. And then we got a review of the Asus UVC capture card as well. So lots of good stuff here. Yeah, we're going to be diving in. They said it's down there? Oh yeah, it is right here. So I just have a typo on here that quite literally 2.7 thousand people watched that short and not a single person pointed that out. I am disappointed. Anyway, lots of good videos went up. If you missed it, we got some cool stuff coming next week as well. Also, for those curious, I did pick up the I got sent the Rode Procaster. I do have that. The Rodecaster Pro, the big mixer interface recorder kind of thing. And I was also given one to give away. So we will be doing a pretty big giveaway with that. I've got the Audio-Technica AT2040 in for review, the Rode Pod Mic in for review, the Rode Broadcaster in for review. I'm getting sent the EposVox Icon Pro for review, which is going to be sick. That mic looks incredible. And then we got a couple cool capture cards, especially some generic ones to review. Echo again? I swear to you, this has happened every stream I have pulled this camera up for. And every stream, I mute this source, and it comes back! Professional streamer, ladies and gentlemen. I swear, this has been, I think, 2 Twitch streams, a previous streamer news, and now this streamer news. And every single time, this source somehow unmutes itself. I think I need to reinstall Windows on this streaming computer at this point, because settings just reset themselves, things just get really weird, and I cannot explain it. And I think at this point, I just need a full wipe. This is a build of Windows that has been running for like 5 years. I don't know, guys. It just keeps happening. So I think I need a full refresh of this stream rig. Anyway, Rodecaster Pro, Rode Pod Mic, Rode Broadcaster. These are all from separate sources. Like the Rodecaster Pro is sent from Rode. I bought the Pod Mic. The Rode Broadcaster is sent in from a viewer that they're just loaning me to review. So it's not like they just hooked me up with a bunch of stuff. AT2040, EposVox Icon Pro is coming. I've got a bunch of capture cards, even some generic, like really cool looking ones coming in for review. Got some other cool stuff coming, and of course showing off more OBS and streaming tools and things like that. So get stoked. Also, I don't have an exact date yet, but my Twitch show is almost ready. It's going to be called Stream Theory. It's going to feature Stream Critique as one of its segments. I've been working on some incredible graphics for it that I've been teasing in the sub chat over on our Discord, discord.gg/EposVox, and some other cool stuff. So get stoked for that. I don't have an exact date to announce that I am launching the stream, but it is coming regardless, and we need to move those alerts. Whee! Thank you for the $5 super chat, Explorographer. Get a real studio. Ha! Ha 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 ha! You hurt my feelings. All right. Let's get into today's topics. That's not today's topics. Yeah, I need a full just reset of all of this because nothing is working right anymore. SMH. By the way, to the person asking what ISO my camera is at, I don't have a clue, and it's not something I can check when it's mounted in a teleprompter, so that information wouldn't really help you, but I don't know. Probably 200 or 400. All right, first and foremost, in the news, Zoom is going to have to pay $85 million for lying about their security and encryption. This is something that we heard about a couple of years ago. Like, during the pandemic, when Zoom was taking over Skype, suddenly this all came out. Although, I think it came out sooner than that. But, like, this was a big deal. And everyone was like, oh, we can't trust Zoom anymore. We can't blah, blah, blah. And then Zoom still remained the standard. And I never really understood that, but I never really looked into it. I was like, okay, maybe it wasn't as serious or whatever. But no, They were lying about supporting end-to-end encryption for your video calls, and they were sending some of their data to Google and Facebook. Like, just flat out lied. They tried to make up their own definition of what end-to-end encryption actually meant. And it's just like a whole huge mess. And they're having to pay for it. And yet, everyone's still just relying on Zoom. And I understand that there wasn't really a tool that kind of launched to replace it. I think a lot of my like business meetings and things like that, I'm noticing some are starting to move to Microsoft Teams, especially as Microsoft Teams gets more integrated into Windows here. But it was just really weird to see all this stuff bubble up about how insecure Zoom was and how they lied about it and blah, blah, blah. And then it all went quiet and everyone's stuck with Zoom. And I was like, so do we trust it or not, everyone? And then, bam. We finally have... There you go. And of course, all the Zoom bombings where you could like jump into other people's Zoom calls and things like that. It's just, I don't know. It's a mess, but I guess until a tool fully replaces that, because the issue is like for your average person like me and you, if we're a hashtag gamer or on the software, we can just use Discord. Or we can use Microsoft Teams. It's been being built into Windows, and that's becoming more of a less business exclusive thing. But for education and things like that, the convenience and the workflow for Zoom calls, unless your school is using a proprietary, well, not proprietary, but more of like a locked down, custom built solution, Zoom is kind of it in some regards. And so it's unfortunate, but I'm shocked that I don't think we have many instances in this kind of tech space where this big of a deal was made about something that's a serious issue, and then everyone just kind of rolled their eyes and moved along. And like there have been things, but this is one of those things where entire platforms die over. And Zoom seemingly didn't take a hit until now. Obviously, $85 million, there's going to be some stuff to pay, and they're having to work on their own actual end-to-end encryption and blah, blah, blah. But Jesus, they got away with a lot more than they should have. In positive news, let's talk about some OBS, though. First and foremost, OBS as an entity has brought on their second full-time developer. That is Dylan Pence, aka the Pizza King, over on our Discord server. Dylan has officially become a full-time developer, apparently as of May of this year, but they were busy launching the new version of OBS. But they are officially the only one of two full-time developers. The first one, of course, being Jim, the main creator of OBS Studio. Obviously, OBS has a ton of people working on it. Not a ton, but, you know, a nice little tight-knit team working on various aspects of it. But Dylan is the first one that's getting, like, paid full-time to actually focus all of their efforts on it, which is really cool. And this comes due to all of their backers and sponsors on Patreon and the Open Collective, which includes big companies now like Twitch and Facebook and Logitech even at one point. There were some big companies listed. I always announced it on stream. Here we go. Yeah, Logitech, XSplit, which you wouldn't expect, PTZ Optics, Fire Stick Tricks, Games Done Quick, of course, makes sense, Overstream, Nerd or Die, hell yeah, etc. On top of individual contributions and the like as well, which is really awesome. And it's showing that they're actually getting to do stuff. And with that, they have also announced and released the bounty program. Now, they're trying to do this in a way that isn't harmful to potential developers. Because the issue with putting up bounties for development work is that you could have multiple people trying to develop the same thing, and then whoever gets there first, if they deliver what is required, gets paid and no one else does. So you're risking working for free, and that doesn't always go over well. So they're trying to work it in a way where that doesn't happen. And that it's more community focused and appreciative and whatever, but they are raising money for this bounty program, and they obviously started off with their own contribution here, and I have already contributed myself. But what I really like is the way that they are doing it. So if you want to contribute to the bounty program, you have a couple different ways you can do it. You can either contribute to the bounty program on the whole and just say, I just want to contribute to them getting more developers making new features, which is awesome. Or you can choose specific bounty accepting proposals that they are working on. They currently only have 4. There will be more. They'll be implementing ones for specific features and things like that. There will be more. But currently they have a bounty for automatic file splitting, which is just a basic feature that most programs have. OBS has never prioritized, but people might want to get and that you can support. And then scene organization tools such as like color coding or better grouping, anything like that, which is something that I have been requesting a lot. Then you have hotkey duplicate detection and then VST3 support. So OBS currently only supports VST 2.1.x or whatever, not VST3. So these are basic things. These aren't revolutionary things at the moment. I would like to see some more crazy features implemented. But honestly, the issue is that these still have to go through the usual approval and testing process and things like that. So you can't get too wild with it. But effectively, by contributing to these individual bounties instead of the program on the whole, you can assign priority, put your money where your mouth is for the features that you actually want. So I believe I supported VST3 and scene organization tools, but I don't entirely remember. I'm trying to find the actual page. Here it is. Nope, that's not it either. Where is the actual bounty page? Is this it? Yeah, so when you sign up, you can just support through the general fund or to specific bounties. So I did, VST3 support and scene organization tools, but then you can effectively prioritize what you actually want to support from there, which I think is really powerful, and I think will allow people who are frustrated but have the means to contribute financially but not necessarily code base, like myself, I'm not a coder, to get the features that they want and make the change that they want. And I hope to see more specific bounties implemented. Obviously, there's prioritization on their side that they have to consider as well in terms of what they actually want to be listed here, what they want to be, supported through outside help, because it has to be, they don't want to put bounties up for things that they're going to work on themselves or start working on things that the bounties are for, et cetera, et cetera. And so I am very interested to see how this plays out because I think it could open a lot of doors. But all of this is possible through all the fundraising that OBS has done in general, through the Open Collective, and through the Patreon and things like that. So if you use OBS for your regular thing, as many of us have for years and years to build our careers upon, I strongly urge you to go check them out and support them financially because they are the reason that you can do many of the things that you do. So heck yeah, I've actually been trying to figure out how to put out my own bounties. And again, the issues with bountying in general comes up and why it hasn't happened. But I want to be able to just kind of slap some money on the table and get some specific features for OBS Studio. And so I immediately jumped on this because this is one step closer to being able to do so. Next up, we have an interview with The Verge with YouTube's Chief Product Officer, Neil Mohan. I'm probably saying that wrong. I didn't actually listen to it. I just read it. This is a really long interview. I honestly just recommend you going through and reading it yourself. But there were some interesting highlights in it overall in terms of what was discussed. Obviously, their main focus is on YouTube Shorts and the new YouTube Shorts Fund. And this is, if you're unaware, YouTube is putting forward $100 million to help fund original Shorts content here on YouTube. So that way they can help monetize those creators because currently there isn't really there's not really a monetization program for it. So as an existing YouTube partner, I can monetize my Shorts, but the ad revenue doesn't really work out because you're not displaying display ads or pre-roll ads on the Shorts themselves. When they're viewed on mobile, ads are instead inserted in between Shorts, and so divvying that up gets messy. And so YouTube, what is being discussed in here is they are still trying to figure out what monetization looks like and how they can best optimize it and yada yada, but they are doing this $100 million fund, which will divide up among creators basically every month. If you are a YouTube Shorts uploader and blah blah blah, you can potentially get some money. What is really interesting is, of course, the Verge person brings up that Shorts is very clearly based off of a TikTok feature, and every time the Verge person brings up, Snapchat and TikTok and whatever, and this makes sense because they're a YouTube rep, and there are many legal and structural reasons why they can't mention another company, but they do everything possible to not address the other, the fact that it's based on a TikTok feature and everything like that. So the product officer here comes up with a very amusing explanation that says that YouTube Shorts is actually based off of the original YouTube video, which was My Day at the Zoo, and not TikTok. and comes up with this whole mental gymnastics to explain that shorts actually came from the core content that was on YouTube, and that that's what's inspired it, and not Snapchat or TikTok or Reels or anything like that, which is not true. But I think it does identify some important mindset things that YouTube does have that are true, as well as the kind of difference between what they're kind of getting at is the difference between what user-generated content actually represented back at the start of YouTube, when it was just, hey, I'm going to take my camcorder and film some stuff and post it because this new video thing, and what it is now, where you have this opus of high-quality polished content and high production value content versus the more raw stuff that you often get on mobile through shorts and TikToks and things like that. And so that is the connection that they're trying to make here, which I think is an interesting kind of a mindset to consider. And also, there was a video recently from Peter McKinnon where he was talking about the differences and like the expectations of a raw TikTok shot on your phone versus a highly produced YouTube video and all of that. And I think there's a lot more discussion to be had there. And frankly, it's amusing because when YouTube was this new thing, the difference between high polished content and more raw, unedited content was YouTube versus Vimeo. Vimeo was the platform for all of this polished stuff, and YouTube was the rough, I made it at home kind of thing. And now they have kind of split it back to where YouTube now has everything, and it's harder to get a balance of that. But there's also some emphasis on the fact that they don't want shorts to drown out the existing content. There's all this concern that shorts are going to get all this algorithmic juice and just kind of take over the website, and people who don't like that aren't going to do it, or people who don't want to make shorts are going to miss out financially on the responsibility of making new content that performs better, and yada yada. And they try, the Mohan, however you say it, is trying to be as kind of straightforward in their response as possible, insisting that creators aren't going to be pushed into a specific content type that they don't want to make. That YouTube is home to... Is there no backing track? It's there, it's just you can't hear it. It's louder in my headphones than it is to you, so then I feel like I have to start yelling over it, even though you probably can barely hear it. But like the main focus was that YouTube is home to a gamut of different types of video content and formats. So you have long-form documentaries and podcasts. You've got general 5 to 10 minute videos. You've got shorts. You've got all these different formats. And YouTube has the responsibility to support all of these different formats and presentations, and that they don't want to just force everyone into the same kind of format or what have you. Even if, historically that has happened. And so they address some of the challenges that they've run into with creators being pushed into a certain format for mid-roll ads or what have you, but we'll see if that's the case, because historically we have seen that. But I do recommend you go watch it or listen to or read this interview. There is a lot of interesting things discussed. I found the why can I not say that? The less honest approach of why Shorts was created to be a little bit of a put-off, I guess, so to speak. So, What's up, live streaming pros? How you doing? YouTube went from broadcast yourself to watch MSNBC? Not quite, but yeah. Exceldro, if something is not a bounty, you can always ask me to make it as a plugin. I may ask you about a couple things. Be prepared for a DM at some point. Speaking of YouTube, by the way, I'm actually skipping around on my topics here. If you are a Discord Nitro sub, you get 3 months free of YouTube Premium. You have to claim it before October 30th. Now, I have not clarified. Many of these offers, you have to be new to that thing. So if you have an existing YouTube Premium sub, you probably can't get the 3 months. That is unclear, but I have ran into that with the Xbox. Yeah, only new YouTube Premium subscribers. But if you've never had it before, you've been curious about it or what have you, you get 3 months to try it out for yourself. I recommend subscribing to it. Everyone's complaints about YouTube ads or whatever. I haven't had YouTube ads in years because I've been an original YouTube Red subscriber, and it's been amazing. And at one point I had to cancel it, and it was terrible. So I do recommend giving it a try. And frankly, I use YouTube Music as my primary YouTube thing. I was using Google Play Music, and frankly, I preferred that. But they shut that down and moved everything over to YouTube Music and whatever. But I actually enjoy YouTube Premium quite a bit. I've never really been a Spotify sub. I was for like a few months at a time, but YouTube Premium is actually pretty cool. YouTube Music is pretty cool as well. And you get to, if you sync it up with your actual YouTube account, then you can automatically track your likes on music videos and things like that. So it can add it to your playlist if you'd like and things like that, which is pretty cool as well. When I originally converted my stuff over to YouTube Music, they didn't support brand accounts yet. And so I had to make a separate personal YouTube Music, and now they do support brand accounts, but I've already had all of my YouTube Music stuff on my personal, so that's a little out of sync, but I just moved too quickly, apparently, even though I felt like I moved last minute when they stopped supporting Google Play Music, but hey, whatever. But hey, that's how it goes. Have I missed the Twitch news yet, or is it coming? It's coming. It is basically my last topic for the day here. It's going to be the entire second half of the show as we get to our ad break here, because there is like 6 different Twitch-related topics that we are combining together. Yeah, so my issue with the Go XLR is that in order to, like, the levels that you hear in your headphones don't necessarily match what the stream hears, and that doesn't make sense. That actually goes like counterproductive to the way the Go XLR is supposed to work by not having submixes and things like that. But like listening to it right now, the music is blaring, and so I feel like I have to yell and stuff, and I want to keep my natural speaking tone, and so often I will just run without headphones and hope that you all will tell me if the music gets too loud. I also have side chaining set up on the music, so theoretically it should never get too loud, but whatever. I find it really distracting, messes with my ADHD if it's not, you know, the right balances, but whatever. All right, got a couple more topics here before we jump to our break and jump to the Twitch stuff. So the Blue Sherpa software is a piece of software that came with the Blue Yeti X and the Blue Yeti Nano, which allowed you to add post-processing to your to those blue microphones. So you had compressors, EQ profiles, and the like. Well, this is sort of coming to the older mics, the Blue Yeti and the Blue Nano. Okay, so it was only the Yeti X, and now it's coming to the Yeti Nano and Blue Yeti. But instead of coming to the Blue Sherpa software, they're putting it in Logitech G Hub for some reason. But if you use Logitech G Hub and you have these microphones, you can now apply post-processing. This runs on CPU. This isn't, you know, there's no DSP on these microphones, so this is still using CPU cycles, but you can have it applied to your microphone before it shows up in your Discord chat or OBS or whatever, and not have to juggle VSTs if you can get the sound that you like in your streaming software or try to apply it to your voice calls or whatever. So that is pretty neat, and I'm glad they're doing it. I do find the implementation in G Hub a little weird, but Logitech is super inconsistent about where their software implementations go. But this is good news as a quality of life upgrade for a microphone that's been out for like almost 10 years now. Can't really complain about that, can ya? All right, we covered so Unity is acquiring Parsec, which is one of the biggest acquisitions Unity has made to date, apparently. But Parsec is a tool that you can use to stream your desktop over the network or over the internet with super low latency. My main community manager uses it to video edit even. It's actually one of the better remote desktop streaming kind of options available, and Unity is acquiring it, which is really interesting. And one of the notes that they make is a push to cloud development. So they referenced that for the past year or so, lots of people have been working from home, yada yada, and this has been a powerful tool to do that. And they think that more creators are going to continue to need higher power computers than they have access to physically, and that this is going to open the doors for that. So I think Unity is opening up the potential, or building up towards the potential, of having developers be able to develop at their home computers but still have access to super powerful render rigs or what have you to build their games, which could be an incredible value offering for Unity games. I'm not familiar with the specific engine enough to know that it necessarily needs that, but thinking about it in terms of my limited experience back when I tinkered with Unreal Engine, even just doing like the light maps and stuff, like having that off-put, you know, as a video editor, having that offloaded onto a cloud computer that can then just deliver it right back seems incredibly powerful. So, pretty neat there. We're going to get to an ad break real quick so I can get a drink, and we will talk about the Nvidia deepfake stuff as well as quite a few Twitch topics. So stick with us. Whee!
PlayStation.
Nerd or Die has everything you need for a top tier, high production value stream, and their graphics packs are like no other. The new Boosted Alerts pack helps really just kind of encourage viewers to get a sub or tip train going, and they have full packages to match any style. Mine, yours, your friends, doesn't matter. Plus, each pack comes with an instant setup script for OBS Studio, Streamlabs OBS, and Stream Elements. Check them out today at eposvox.gg/nerdordie and save 15% at checkout with coupon code EposVox.
Do you need stream-safe music for your streams and videos, but want something a little heavier? My awesome community sought to solve that and made Backing Track. Hard rock and heavy metal music, safe for your content and free to use. No subscriptions. Head over to backingtrack.gg to stream it or join our Discord for free downloads.
Sega is rolling out a new video game console this week.
It's one world. Why view it through two windows? Panasonic introduces the 36-inch SVGA TV.
Okay, we're back. I think. Welcome. Hopefully this camera microphone didn't enable itself again. This is the test. Does it do it while I'm live? I don't think it did. Okay. Yeah. Go check out our sponsor, Nerd or Die, and go check out our background music, backingtrack.gg. Free downloads in our Discord. We also have stems available on our Discord if you want to remix it for yourself. And I have released, I haven't caught up with all of them, but most of the tracks in FLAC format with the metadata and cover art enabled in case you want to play it in your OBS instance or whatever and get the metadata displayed. What's the EposVox Nerd or Die link, please? eposvox.gg/nerd or die. All right, so we've got two main topics left. One of them is significantly smaller than the other. We're going to talk about Nvidia and their fake press conference that they apparently ran back in April at SIGGRAPH just yesterday or the day before. They announced that an entire press conference that they released back in April was fake. That it was, well, not all the footage, but like Jensen in his kitchen, if we get to it, which may have only even been this one scene. Yeah, this is the presentation they just released. We can scroll through here. Hello? There it is. This was all synthetically generated for the press conference that they held in April. No one caught on to it. No one even pointed it out, apparently, at least in a way that gained mainstream attention. But they completely recreated his kitchen scene using their new tools, and then they generated a fake Jensen, and it looked believable enough that everyone fell for it. So, something I want to discuss with this, because this is super impressive. This is mind-boggling. We are entering an era of questioning whether anything we see is real. But something worth considering, and also the detail that they went to recreate his freaking kitchen is insane. Like, none of that was necessary. They didn't need those internal pieces, but they're there. They made them because whatever. But something worth considering in this particular instance here is that this kind of thing is only doable when you only have short scenes, like that transition where they exploded his whole kitchen and all of that. The same thing applies to movies, TV shows, etc. Like, people often complain that movies have too much CGI these days, or TV shows do. But in reality, there is exponentially more CGI than you ever possibly notice in a movie or TV show, because so many elements are being controlled and manipulated, and you just don't notice it because you're not looking for it. And especially when it's small individual scenes, like I could totally have planted a CGI generated scene of this right now in one of these cuts, in one of these takes, while I'm talking about a subject. And when you're focused on the news part and the transitions and me just talking for a minute, you're not looking for those fine details and noticing which aspects might be fake or real, versus having an entire face-to-face conversation or an entire like drawn out scene with those particular details involved. Once your eyes are settled and used to looking at the same thing over and over, or once you're trying to do it in a more one-on-one presentation where those rigs are insane, but more one-on-one presentation where, you know, you're actually expecting to see a human being, you can start to notice more of that stuff. But, you know, when you have individual scenes and small clips where you're not primed to expect deceit, basically, it is a lot easier to quickly convey what feels like reality with fake information. And I think that's really important to consider. The only CGI Jensen is 102.41 to 102.45. Oh, okay. Well, the original headlines they were putting out was that the whole thing was fake. Regardless, there was a bit that fake that no one really caught. Which is why I'm pointing out, like, that's the whole point of me pointing out, like, this explanation is if we had an hour-long, like, just zoomed in on him talking, eventually you'd start looking at his face, you'd get comfortable with the uncanny valley enough that you would start to notice, okay, wait a minute, that little aspect isn't right, that little aspect isn't right, whatever, and start to pick up on cues for it. Where when it is this one random scene kind of inserted among the rest, you can start to improve it. And you think back to examples like in Rogue One with Princess Leia and things like that, where you are close but not quite there, but realistically, had they had like flashbacks of the original movies or something, or of additional footage of a young Carrie Fisher, and they could match the filming exact, which obviously wouldn't be the case because we're going back decades, but if they had, say, a young Carrie Fisher existed and then stopped existing, and they had that footage, and then they inserted that CGI scene among the real footage with a little bit of tweaking, you could create scenes that supplement real scenes that you actually shot and be a ton less noticeable. Whereas crafting something that hasn't existed, or, you know, something that is a little less believable or hasn't been done before, is a lot harder to convert or convince people that it's real. And I think we're going to see a lot of weirdness. Like, this is entering the era, once this technology becomes more accessible, I'm excited for it because I think the exploration of avatars and of virtual personalities is going to explode, and there's going to be a ton that comes with that we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of. But I think we're going to see some issues where people try to alter history or alter presentations, where you can take something that was shot where most of it is real, but a couple sentences or a scene or a cut of it isn't real. And when you insert that into the rest of it, the person on the other end doesn't necessarily have a reason to believe that they are being lied to or manipulated in that regard. And I think the implications from there are a little funky, and I don't know. The pickups in Black Widow are being down to CGI due to injuries, purely for the purpose of being able to undercut and ununionize CG artists. Yeah, like, and that's the issue. Like, in some of the movie trailers for Black Widow, I haven't seen the actual film yet, but in some of the movie trailers, they had the one where she, like, spins as she drops down, and that looks as CGI as it gets until she starts walking forward. And it's one of those things, like, when I'm given that scene on its own through Twitter, for whatever reason, Twitter compression on top, there's a couple things that make CGI more obvious. Twitter compression, or just, you know, video compression in general, and slow-mo. And when you slow a clip down, suddenly green screens or CGI bits somehow become a ton more obvious. But also, sometimes through Twitter compression, it looks a lot less convincing than it does when you're watching the movie through YouTube or just a Blu-ray or something, which is really weird. But we are getting to the point when it comes to head-on talking head stuff that it's a lot more convincing. I think when we're doing crazy action scenes, like Scarlett Johansson twirling down onto the ground and then walking away from an explosion. That's such a disconnect from reality that we're still going to be more primed to, like, expect it. I'm gotta sneeze. Give me just 1 second. Holy crap. That wasn't fun. Okay, so let's talk about Twitch for a minute, shall we? Twitch is making some right moves, but they're also in the hot seat again for a multiple different reasons at the same time. So for a little bit of context before we get here, if you're unaware, Twitch has faced all kinds of nonsense literally all year. A lot of it stemming from the whole hot tubs and ASMR and all of that stuff. But they've also had a new thing come up. So there was the hot tub streaming, and then they put the hot tubs in their own category, and then everyone moved to the ASMR streaming and doing all kinds of inappropriate stuff in there. And this has like been a problem that's been building for a while now. And then out of nowhere comes this gambling problem, which has apparently been a problem on Twitch for a while, and then suddenly it is a huge deal now with people streaming gambling and streaming all sorts of, you know, betting things and sharing referral codes or creator codes or affiliate links to those sites so they can then make money off of it. And of course, we've gone through this before with in-game specific gambling things like CSGO Lotto and things like that, but this is like actual gambling, and Twitch wasn't doing a whole lot, and then they have announced that they are doing away with allowing referral codes or affiliate links to specific gambling sites. However, this doesn't ban the gambling content on its own, so they are technically doing something about it. Twitch is technically implemented as of, I think, like Tuesday. You will be unable to share these links. That way, the rule is put out in advance. That way, people can go delete their VODs and etc. But this doesn't stop the content itself. And the content itself is what encourages people to go participate in this. And there are ways around it. Like, technically, you can't share your OnlyFans link on Twitch, but that hasn't stopped Twitch from being a funnel into OnlyFans. Not that I disagree not that I agree that that specific issue should be pursued, but the same idea can happen here. That people can still make tons of gambling content and funnel people to these gambling sites and cause all manner of issues, which should be illegal. And Twitch is only just doing the bare minimum without enforcing much with that. And I'm kind of concerned by that. This is a good first step. Slow as always. Good first step, but doesn't necessarily curb the content. And I'm really kind of concerned with where that goes. And I feel like we, as a community, have already come to terms with the fact that we don't support or accept gambling on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or whatever, and yet here it is again. But then there's a second issue that Twitch has been facing, and that is that there are new waves of malicious Twitch extensions, which are things that can run on top of the video player to add overlays or effects or whatever that can scrape your IP now. And so you may have seen a lot of posts from people saying, hey, if you see this user in your chat, do not click their profile to ban them, just ban them from the list or whatever, and things like that. And at first I thought, I was like, there's no way, this doesn't make any sense, that's really dumb. Because the original claims were that you would be DDoSed from that happening, which, not really possible. But what can happen is apparently these Twitch extensions can scrape your IP, and then it automatically posts it to a Discord bot for the people who run it, and then they can try to DDoS you from there or whatever. And so there's a new wave of malicious Twitch extensions, and at this point I feel like Twitch extensions are kind of doing a little bit more harm than good with this. But a user by the name of Commander Root has implemented a Firefox and Chrome extension which allows you to disable all Twitch extensions, and then you can manually allow from there, or you can allow all and manually disable, although that's a little bit less secure. But once you install it in your browser, you can see I come down here to... where is it? I have it installed. I had it installed. I literally just recorded it like yesterday. Okay, well, we're going to install it real quick in real time to show you this. I don't know why it's not here. Remove. Hello? Hello? Okay, now it's there. I must be blind. All right, so Have it set to disable all except allowed Twitch extensions over here at the top. I know it's a little hard to see. And then you can come in here and it just provides an ongoing list of all the Twitch extensions, which is a little obnoxious to like sort through. But if you know of specific ones or you encounter specific ones that you wish to enable, then you can just allow those. And then when you go visit Twitch, you can still use that functionality while remaining protected on these other platforms. And I highly recommend using this and protecting yourself, because as much as having your IP scraped is inevitable sometimes, clearly people are out to do bad with it, and the fact that this is even a possible vulnerability with Twitch is kind of ridiculous. So, especially since we don't have, like, it's not like it's just called the IP scraper Twitch extension, I would recommend just blocking all and manually allowing the ones that you appreciate. But that's not all. Twitch's COO, Sarah Clemens, has exited, or will be exiting in January, after 4 years of serving on Twitch. This doesn't necessarily indicate anything on its own. However, this is still a big shift in their executive operating factors. She's been there since early 2018, and we don't know what will come as a change of that, but she's not the only one leaving. Aurelian is actually leaving, or has actually already left as well. And she is someone who used to be big in like the Let's Play scene and I believe Minecraft and things like that, like way back in my classic YouTube days. And she's been big over on Twitch, has been a huge streamer advocate and things like that. One of the few like big name community representatives that have been a part of Twitch for a very long time. And she has stepped down. Now she has nothing but good things to say, which you might think is purely PR related, or, you know, doing right by their contract or whatever. But they do have some pretty honest sounding tweets here about how Twitch operates from a community first value, that everything that they do is aimed at the community. And while there may be big corporate top down things that they have to work within, they are still trying to work in that regard. And I think that perspective is really important, especially as someone who has been there long enough. 7.5 years. That is an insanely long amount of time on the internet. And I think, while I am concerned by especially both of these women leaving, I think the fact that at least Aurelian leaving, having this to say, wanting us to know, like, regardless of all the negativity going around on Twitch right now, to leave and to want to leave with that being the message that they convey, that really they are trying, I think that instills a little bit of hope. We still obviously have to hold Twitch accountable for all the things that go on, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But I think that provides IMO a little glimmer of hope that Twitch isn't purely run by corporate overlords or anything like that, that they are really trying, and that with the right momentum, with the right things falling together, perhaps we'll see an improvement. That being said, literally as this is happening, there's a hashtag campaign going around called Do Better Twitch, trying to make things safer for streamers and minorities and things like that, and Twitch gives the same response that they always give, which is, we are seeing / we are listening, and then not doing anything about it. And I don't know what to do at this point with this regard. So there's botting, hate raids, harassment, all of this. And of course, it took a massive hashtag campaign on a completely separate platform to identify this and make them say something. And that is the biggest thing for me. So, rewinding a little bit here, because I'm going to both praise and harp on Twitch a little bit here, because I think it's important to consider both ideas. Going back to the trans tag need on Twitch, which was a user voice thing for like a couple years, Twitch literally never acknowledged it. And that was because they were doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and they wanted to get it right before they went forward with it. And I think those intentions were pure, even if it was completely misguided to have not said anything at all. And that was the big thing, is while obviously they want things to have happened, they wanted to at least be acknowledged. The community wanted to at least be acknowledged that Twitch saw this need and was working on it. And Twitch said nothing and just wanted to surprise everyone at Pride, until it bubbled up enough on a separate platform that they're like, okay, we're making it live. So clearly the idea of just not saying anything at all while they work on it behind the scenes doesn't work. At the same time, there have been multiple instances of Twitch coming out and saying, we hear you, and then not really doing much at all past that. And I think this is kind of a double-edged sword for Twitch, whereas if they acknowledge it, but they can't do anything immediately because the way they are set up just doesn't work that way, well, then it just sounds like they just provide lip service. They're not going to do anything, blah, blah, blah. But also, if they don't say anything, then they're just ignoring the problem. That being said, I think the idea, and admittedly on this one, that they don't say that they've been listening or anything like that. They just say they've seen the conversations, which are specifically here on Twitter. But the fact, I'm trying to figure out how to word what I want to say. It feels disingenuous, which apparently I can say now, even if I couldn't at the start of the stream, to say that they are listening or that they hear things when it takes bringing them to a separate platform for it to be heard. For creators to have experienced this kind of stuff for years, and for it to have gotten worse all year, to then only have heard it once it happens and forms a campaign on Twitter versus the complaints directly involved and the actions happening on their platform, there's a huge disconnect there. I don't know if I'm making sense with this, but this is what really bothers me. Like, and I'm not usually one to be like, oh, you wait till they have a hashtag on Twitter or whatever. But effectively, it feels like they don't notice the problems that occur on their platform until they are compiled into a giant complaint on another platform. And that is the problem, is they seem unaware or unwilling to address bad stuff that happens and hurts people on their own website until those people have to take it and combine forces on another website, which then gets their attention. Twitch cannot be purely held accountable on Twitter. Twitch needs held accountable on Twitch. And I think that disconnect is what allows any company, really, to get away with not really doing much. And I think it's one of those things where there's a disadvantage. Creators have no say, influence, or even real contact with anyone at Twitch. Partner managers often don't respond to things. Affiliates don't really have a contact at all. Twitch support doesn't respond to anything of value unless it's technical support. We have no way of demanding anything within the company as a streamer. We have no power, but I think until we get that, until that is reclaimed, and I think that needs fought for, even if it starts on Twitter, I think creators need a voice within Twitch that they actually get to use. Because there's a difference between, and I mentioned like Aurelian being a streamer representative voice within Twitch or whatever. Like, those kinds of people are one thing, but once they get isolated within Twitch and they are no longer being spoken through at Twitch, they are no longer the community voice. They might represent what the community wants, or might, keep their ear to the ground on it. They are no longer immediately the talking piece of the community. And that is necessary. Be it a board seat, be it a union kind of thing, be it recurring like community members that cycle in and out that just have ongoing conversations with Twitch with a little bit more transparency, doing it live. There has to be some direct involvement on the streamer's part for this to change. And I think streamers really need to push for that, because I don't see any real progress being made on these issues. Even when the issue itself is Twitch not acting on issues, I don't see any real progress being made when streamers have no influence on Twitch itself from the inside. This is effectively walking out of your work to then go throw things at your work's window. Like, ignoring the fact that Twitch isn't a job, I don't like those analogies, whatever. But in terms of like trying to think of working from the inside out, Twitch is the building that you are inside when you are streaming. You have to leave the building to then throw things at the building to make change happen within the building, rather than being in the building and making change by going up a couple floors and being like, yo, we need to fix this. This is a terrible analogy, but I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. I think there's such a huge literal, like physical, digital, mental gap between the streamers themselves and anyone who can do anything about anything or even communicate about doing anything on Twitch. And that gap needs bridged before we're going to stop having topics and news pieces like this. I don't think it's going to change until we do. So specifically for the issue of creator safety, harassment, targeting, blah, 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 they are launching channel level ban evasion detection, as well as more account verification stuff later this year, as well as they are continuing to take pieces in, but nothing is happening like right now other than an update towards filters, which were apparently had a vulnerability of their own. But nothing is being done immediately because Twitch has to move really slow, and I don't know if that's corporate bureaucracy. I don't know if that's they genuinely can't figure it out and not the right things are being fought for. I don't know if they are just trying to appeal to too many people. But when the big issue in terms of PR, like removing the conversation we just had, but in terms of PR, is when they do finally address things and they literally can't do anything right now, that's a problem. Like, you should be able to just act. And so there is a thread. I will post in the description whenever I'm compiling links here, but there is a thread that streamers have compiled of things that Twitch can literally implement, like with zero time, to make things better, such as give creators a control over two-factor authentication requirement for chat. Restrict brand new accounts from typing in chat at all. Or, again, giving creators control of that, as well as increasing the amount of tags that people can use. This is only a couple things. Streamers and creators have been compiling more and more. It's not going to let me view quote tweets until I log in. What the hell, Twitter? Why? Why? What? Apparently you can't view quote tweets without logging into Twitter. Whatever. Streamers have been compiling stuff like this for a couple weeks now of things that could be done immediately that realistically there's no reason for Twitch not to enable. Like, obviously when it comes to coding and building platforms and whatever, everything's a little bit more complicated than the simplified explanation. But even stuff like this, giving creators more control over who can type in chat, this is something I have in my Discord server right now. I could immediately go in here and crank moderation up to extreme, and it would limit anyone who doesn't have like every possible verification mode enabled and been an account for so long and been in the server for so long from chatting. And Twitch has never bothered to add that. And given that there should be account flags for having two-factor authentication for how long you've been an account and blah, 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 all of this stuff should be things that they could just roll out. And it's not even like I expect them to just be able to flip a switch and it be there, because they probably haven't developed the idea for it if they've never implemented it in the first place. But they could say that they're developing it and releasing it within a couple weeks. Like, they don't need to say later this year, sorry, we've got nothing for you. I don't know. I love Twitch. I love the culture. Going back to Aurelian's post, the idea of bleeding purple has to do with, like, Twitch has been the place for streaming and for building a community for so long. And it's a double-edged sword, because for so many people, for so many streamers, including streamers of various minorities, it's not a safe community, but it's also sometimes the only place you can build your community. It's this weird, like, back and forth of you're not necessarily safe there, but it's also the best place to build your community in theory. I want Twitch to succeed. I am angry because I love Twitch enough that I want to see them do better. Not because I want to just sit here and bash Twitch. Like, I probably shouldn't say this right now, but I've been getting pretty fed up with the weird videos from creators who have moved their streams from Twitch to YouTube. And I'm not calling out anyone specifically, because I could name at least 5 streamers who have done this recently off the top of my head. I don't care about any of them individually, like calling them out. But I've seen many creators who will then, who have made Twitch content their entire careers, decide to switch to YouTube. And I understand that their decision to switch to YouTube comes motivated by their feelings about Twitch and blah, blah, blah. But after deciding to switch to YouTube for streaming, will then make videos about why Twitch is doomed, Twitch is failing, and why you need to jump ship to YouTube. But by the way, go follow them on YouTube. Like, it's self-promo for their YouTube streams. I understand it, and as marketing or content promotion, whatever, makes sense. But in terms of the emotions and the mental thought processes behind it, it really bothers me, because this is the exact same thing YouTube went through in 2015 and 2016. Everyone, well, not everyone, but tons of creators jumped ship from YouTube. They said, YouTube is over party, YouTube isn't doing this, that, or the other, blah, 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 let's move to Twitch. Despite the fact that so many of us who have been around long enough said, hey, Twitch is going to face all these same issues. They did. They ended up facing the same issues. Took a few more years than I expected, but they did. But all these creators threw away their career on one platform, jumped to another, and then, lo and behold, they're dealing with the same issues on this other platform a few years later. It's probably even more frustrating the second or third or fourth or fifth time around. I find it a little insane to try to convince viewers that one platform is dying over another when really, like, in terms of data, they're not. There's just a growing sentiment, and you can't make positive change in a community or on a platform with that kind of toxic negative sentiment. Now, I think it's a little bit better for the people who did switch platforms and kind of put their money where their mouth was and actually moved. But the idea that so many people are so dependent on this platform that they then spend all of their time being super negative about. And I realize how this sounds as someone who just dedicated a whole new segment to it, but that's the whole context I'm trying to build, is I am critiquing from the purpose of here's how to fix it, or here's suggestions to fix it, or please fix it, versus YouTube is over party, Twitch is over party, it's all dying and over, but I'm still going to keep streaming here. But, like, I want to have discussions about how it can be fixed, about how this culture, about how the platform that made game streaming what it is today can survive and can thrive and continue to deliver for years to come. Not, lol, I'm done, let's switch platforms, by the way, that site's dead, don't bother with it anymore. It just doesn't work in my head. And like I said, quite literally no individual streamer or creator is being called out here, because they all do it in different ways. I'm not judging necessarily from a content perspective, but from the discussion itself, I'm just like, I don't know. It bothers me. I want to have productive conversations, and I want to see Twitch succeed. I don't want Twitch to die. And contributing to a conversation that says Twitch is dead or Twitch is dying is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's like viewers who jump in your chat or your Discord and says, oh, chat's dead. Well, chat's certainly going to stay dead if people are saying it's dead rather than just trying to have real conversations. The same thing with the platform. I want to talk about how to fix it, how to make it better, and I want to see it succeed, because currently YouTube is doing a ton on the features, a ton on the back end, a ton on the monetization to make streaming more viable, but not the culture, not the emotion, the investment people have put. I've been around since the Justin TV days. Twitch has gone from this weird branch off of that, of this whole weird live streaming thing, to the epitome, the personification of live streaming. I don't know. I don't want to just be like, oh, it's dead, it's gone. Like, I don't know. I'm going to leave you with that note for today. That's all of our time for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in today's streamer news. Like I said, I'm not here to bash Twitch. I want to see it succeed. I'm actually doing the opposite of what so many streamers are doing, in that I am actually launching a new show over on Twitch. At twitch.tv/EposVox. You should go follow me. I'm going to go paste that in the chat. HTTPS twitch.tv/EposVox. Go follow me. I'm launching a new show called Stream Theory, where we're going to talk about these kinds of topics, about building your own stream, about growing on streaming, about making better streams. I'm going to have the stream critique segment. I'm going to feature cool apps and tools, lots of stuff like that. It's going to be awesome. And I'm doing it knowing that everyone is jumping ship from Twitch right now, because nothing really recreates the Twitch streaming experience for me. Like, as much as I love this show and the Streamer News show, and I've been really proud of what I do with it, it is a completely different experience from when I fire up a Twitch stream. It just is. And I want to keep that going. I want to keep that going, especially as someone who has only ever streamed full time for like a brief period when I was switching jobs effectively. I haven't got to put as many hours as many full-time streamers ever. You know, I'll never get to put in as many hours on them. And I want to get more out of that. I don't want Twitch to be yanked away right as I'm building new stream shows. I want to stream on it. I want to see you there. I want to keep Twitch going and push it forward. And I think I can contribute to that. Ironically enough, and people are going to disagree with that, but I think I can contribute to that by building more professional shows like this, not taking away from the user-generated content side, because we're still going to have chat interaction and the like, and I appreciate everyone saying that they went and followed and excited for the new show. But by bringing some non-gaming but also gaming-centric content to it, by being, like, there's going to be gaming relevance, but it's not going to be gameplay streams. And I think that's something that holds the streaming format back, and we can talk about that in the show and a whole separate thing. But, like, game streaming on its own is only one format, and I think more high-quality stuff that is still in the niche, but not just the same content, will help as well. And while I don't think my show single-handedly is going to do anything for Twitch on the whole, I think the sentiment there of here's a cool thing you can build on Twitch is always a good bonus. So hope to see you over on the Twitch show. Like I said, I don't have an exact start date because scheduling these streams with my family situation and all that is a little weird, but I am stoked for it regardless. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in to Streamer News. As always, hit the like button, subscribe for more tech education and stream guides. Hope you all have a great weekend and all of that. I'll see you next time.